this date. And we shall continue with the reading of everybody got a copy of the minutes?
Yes.
Did you,
Yeah.
you're satisfied with the minutes?
Oh, yes, the minutes, yes.
Okay, and you, and
Motion
Tom?
to approve the
Wait a
minutes.
minute.
Want me to do the roll call first?
Yes,
Okay.
I wanted to start it. Go ahead.
J.C. Info,
Present?
Thomas Boynicera,
Present.
Rudy Davis,
Present?
Lynn Reeves,
Here.
and Thomas Draskovitz is not present, and Brenda Boynicera was unable to attend.
She's excused for family reasons. I talked to her earlier. That's taken care of. So, that takes care of that. Reading of the minutes, everybody read the minutes, they're promulgated, so. Rudy has made a motion, Tom seconded them. Call for a vote to approve the minutes?
Approved.
So ordered. Now with the massive agenda that we have, I want to thank Rudy for running the meeting the last time, and I want to thank Patty for her patience, and Lynn for just getting involved in this so much. You're a great guy, and Patty and you are just helping this situation, and I noticed that the crowd got a little thinner, and one thing that bothers me is Rudy had a gavel and I don't. I don't know what that means, but I'm a little upset with that.
That means that this room was being used until the very last minute before this meeting. And it gets
There's a cup over there that you can use.
Yeah, I know.
Bend down the table.
I understand all that foolishness. Okay. So what we'll do is just continue with the presentation from, let's go with yours, Rudy, as far as what you concluded and what the committee concluded from the last meeting,
All right.
and what you're going to present.
Okay. At the last meeting, of course, we presented the plan for those small parks in which we would add sailing centers and paddleboard centers or paddlecraft centers, and additionally public storage rooms for resident-only use. And noted that that would generate $180,000 a year. We presented some additional ideas for Belle Isle Avenue's seawall dock, in which it would utilize large in-water slips as opposed to the perpendicular lift-type slips. And I'll go down to the final analysis. If it were done with averaging 60-foot length boats between 50 and 75 tied up alongside this seawall border dock, permanent rentals would generate about $34,000 a year. But we've learned that if you do transient docks, and there's a big need for transient docks where they come in overnight, that they pay a significantly larger fee for that, and typically that would generate $180,000 a year for transient docks. All of that to be, brought to reality because there's water navigation involved. So that's an unknown entity. Lynn's going to report on the latest of that shortly. In fact, why don't we?
I'll get to that if you want to wrap up with what you're.
Yeah, the only thing that that was what we essentially discussed at the last meeting. And
Lynn, you were supposed to check with the navigation situation?
Yeah, they finally, I did get a call back from them.
okay.
Tentatively, I've got a meeting scheduled for them on Wednesday morning. It hasn't been confirmed yet because the one gentleman's on vacation this week, Connor, but Julie said his schedule looks like he's open on Wednesday morning. She will call me on Monday to confirm the time
This coming Wednesday.
next week.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But no No decisions have been made, okay.
So we'll present the plans that we have to them and see what their feedback is. And if they give us, we'll ask them the question, well, what can we do
Right,
and what are those parameters?
okay.
Okay. For future reference.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Questions, Tom? And you got anything?
Well, I just wondering, who owns that, who writes to that waterfront there?
The marina
No, not the marina, you're talking about.
Belle Isle.
on Belle Isle, that the city doesn't own the
The bottom.
bottom,
Yeah.
State does.
Yeah, that's waters of the state. Probably regulated more by the county, but the marina, that's we have submerged lands in front of it.
Okay.
This is, of course, all would be subject to the approval of the voters of the city, anything that we do.
Well,
Would it not?
No, that wouldn't be subject to the approval of the voters. City could do that.
What
as
about
long-
the property owners that surround the area?
Well, technically, the city could come in and say, yes, we want to build a dock, then we would submit that to Water Navigation for approval. Of course, the residents could come to the city council and say otherwise.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Okay.
But the city could do that with just because.
Is there any estimate of cost that you come up to construct this?
No.
100.
100 and something.
Yeah, if it's a solid dock, it'd be $180,000. And a 4% interest loan would cost $1,040 a month, but it would generate $3,600 per month if it were resident permanent lease slips. If it were a floating dock, I can't say that amount would cover the floating dock. But it would generate, in a transient situation, $180,000. But there would probably be more cost because you've got more facilities you have to provide.
But if you have transient, you need someone to manage that dock.
Exactly, that's one of the
Sure.
big downs of transient, you've gotta have someone there to check
Absolutely.
them in and check them out. So, that's up for this board's job was to think out of the box, to come up with ways. We haven't endorsed anything, in fact, when I presented all of this at council, I said before and after that anything that we give them, we feel is outside the norms of the city's typical use of property, and that they have to have public discussions and a public vote or approval before they do anything. So,
I'd like to have you put that in the form of a motion, really, that we do that, make it formalized
yeah,
at this meeting.
Yeah.
What we're talking about.
right,
And I know you weren't for a lot of this, and neither was I. And I know that I got some vibes from other folk that said, what? About storage sheds and things when they can't even get a small one put on their property because it's, or have a cover put over their boat dock or anything. So I'd like it formalized by this meeting that we're not for these things, we're just made presentations as requested.
yeah.
Well, yeah, to think out of the box, and I think it was, definitely thinking out of the box and not putting personal preferences into it. I didn't even think about something like that, but that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. Well, all in all, with the solar on City Hall, which amounts to a $30,000 a year savings estimated as an average, 180
very
there,
practical.
180 here, we're talking $400,000 in revenue that the city could find if they did these things. Now, having said that, at the last city council meeting, the Christini group, who are the city auditors, came in and said, the city is financially healthy. There is no issue So my question at that point was, why are we here and why did we go through this exercise? So, but we did our job, what our assigned job was, and I think it should be clear to them that we did what we were assigned to do. It does not mean in any shape, way, or form that we approve it and think the city should do it.
That's
And-
what I want in the form of a motion.
Okay, then I make the motion.
I
That-
second it.
Yeah, that this board states to council with this motion that we have done what they asked us to do, and that it has shown a potential $400,000 annual revenue, but that this board does not think that any of these ideas should be used unless they go to the residents with a full public forum, and that the residents
approval.
have an opportunity to approve anything that they do prior to council using any of this.
I approve.
I'll call for a vote on that. It sounds like it puts it in a nutshell.
Okay?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I too. It's
Okay.
unanimous, Patty,
All right.
that be reported.
Um,
Go ahead, is there,
No,
no,
we haven't started on number 2 yet, correct?
No.
Right, okay.
no.
Yeah. But I think that surmises where we are and to this point. And with that motion tells them how we feel about it.
Absolutely, it's a great idea. One thing I wanted to throw up at the committee, and I don't know how to do this as far as through the city committee, wouldn't be our committee. It's just, who do you talk to say, what about a farmer's market? Once or twice a month through the summer. Like they could set up at the tennis court and have parking area back here and rent out booze for the people bringing their produce. I know I've seen this all, hell, Clearwater's got one.
Yeah.
That runs,
There's companies that will do that.
well, that's what I mean. I'd like to see that as a suggestion from our committee, that whoever looks into that, would look into that possibility.
And do these companies pay a percentage or a fee or something to the city?
Yeah, there's some of them cities run and they pay directly, the vendor does, $20-25 a booth. Some places, and I'll use Dunedin, and I don't know if it's the same guy still, but it's a gentleman that goes out and solicits the booths and kind of controls it, and then he pays a commission to the city, because they get use of the park space.
Is this unrealistic to approach?
No.
Would you be willing to pursue, if our recommendation
Yeah.
comes from this committee?
Yeah, I mean, I'll find out who it is in Dunedin now, I don't know if it's the same gentleman.
Okay,
But
I'd like to formalize that as a motion, that this is one aspect to raise a little money, even though we're not broke.
Right.
And I, off the record, I believe the city manager when he says we're not broke. And I believe what Rudy said and what was reported at council. But I would like to put that in a motion that this committee would recommend a farmer's market, to look into a farmer's market.
We can just put that in their summation.
Yeah.
Well, it's gotta be, we're for this though. We're
Yeah.
not, there's some of these we're not for. And that,
Yeah. Well, I mean, even
I just wanna formalize that.
Even
And-
that, if you're doing it on top of the tennis courts, I think it should be something for public discussion in England, but I would find that to be favorable. But I don't know that we wanna say, do that.
Or put it somewhere.
Yeah, let's
I'm
put
not
it
saying
in-
putting it on top of them.
Yeah, let's put it in there.
We could hang baskets on the building and they could climb ladders to pick their own fruit. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, the idea of a farmer's market is all
Rock
right.
climbing.
Yeah,
Golly, yeah.
okay? In favor?
In favor of pursuing it, right?
Or adding that to
Adding it.
the information.
Sure.
Yeah.
That we're in
With
favor of
Lynn-
that.
Lynn investigating it, and we'll add it to the information. I agree.
Okay.
Second that motion.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
3, carried.
Okay.
Okay, now, is there anything, Tom, do you have anything particularly that you want to bring up?
No, I think it's been pretty well covered. I think we're at the point now where we really need to go forward and find out what the community thinks.
Okay,
That's my personal opinion.
you wanted to inform the committee when you're leaving town too.
We are leaving, be out of here April 20th.
Okay.
And then
You'll be in
sporadically be back
contact,
and forth.
you'll
right?
be in contact with me. Okay. Anything further, Lynn, do you want to add anything to this conversation?
No, I think Rudy's got some notes. We had a meeting this morning, which he'll cover that with someone.
Clandestine meeting?
No,
No, I'm just.
no, he's gonna
That-
explain.
Don't put that in there.
And I think, you know, all the things that you've explored, if we can wrap that up in a package that we can give to the council, that would be beneficial.
Rudy volunteered to do that for us with all our names on it and everything, and I agreed that would be fantastic. That logistics is fine between he and the chairman.
So you want me to wrap up this final thing and make a
Sure.
motion to that effect?
Sure.
All right. Lynn and I met at the end of the last meeting, there was discussion about vacating the east side of the building where council chambers are and finding opportunities for that part of the building to generate revenue through lease or something, or a business of some kind. But we didn't have any proficiency in finding something, so I did find David Witeska, who's a 25-year veteran of commercial real estate. And, pass that down. Lynn and I met with him this morning, gave him a floor plan, let him take some pictures, and he, for the nominal sum of $200, is going to generate a report back to us on potential uses, highest and best use being the theme, and we will wrap that up. The floor plan that I've given you shows the old west side of the building, the way it is currently. And if we put council chambers in, where it would go and how it would be arranged. Lynn and I went over that an additional meeting, and it shows that you can put a 23-foot by 45-foot council chamber in. Because it's a little narrow, you would probably have to put the council members at the head of the room and the attorney, the city manager and desk to one side and the clerk on the opposite side, podium in the middle, but it would still leave you room for 30 chairs. I rarely see any meeting here that you've got 30 or more people. If so, they could be additionally put out in the hallway or something like that. You can even double up on this a little bit and get more, but we think that's very workable with a minimal amount of restructuring of the office walls. It'd still leave you a conference room and staff lounge. The room that would have to go away are archive and records, but that could probably move over to the records workroom or some other additional area. So that wraps up this. As soon as we have the report from David, we'll include that in the book. So given that wraps up things the way I see it, I'd like to submit this. Understanding that the board has presented ideas on all properties generating $300,000+ a year, and given that the coronavirus has been declared a global pandemic and is a significant health issue for the elder board members. Given that the city auditors reported that the city is in sound financial health, I thereby move that the board assign me the task of compiling a binder with all revenue generating concepts the board has produced, along with a summation document that should be completed and presented to the city manager in time for him to present it to the city council at the April city council meeting. and that this board complete its work. Well, that's the motion.
Is that enough time for you?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, I got it all pretty much
Okay.
already done, and
all
this
right.
will come back to us in a day or two. We'll know next week about water navigation's plans. I can summarize all that in a binder by the end of the month. But I'm not going to come to another public meeting because I'm 77 years old and I have serious concerns about being out in a public setting and around a lot of people.
Let's
So,
present
number
your
one.
motion first.
Number one, the motion. Want me to read it again?
No, it's
No,
fine.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Now you can bring up the discussion about your,
Oh, okay, but we approve.
I haven't made I haven't approved yet.
Well, then let's vote on this motion.
No,
What do you want me to?
just discussion.
Okay.
The discussion
Oh,
is-
discussion is.
Yeah,
The discussion is, I don't think I or any of us should be coming to public meetings and jeopardizing our health in view of this coronavirus pandemic status now. And so we should wrap this up, and I'm willing to do so with approval of the motion.
Okay.
any further discussion, Tom?
Is it possible to carry on a discussion on the internet? If anything else
Oh,
comes up.
sure we
or
could,
whatever.
if we had to.
I don't know
No?
how you do that, but
Gotta have a meeting.
gotta have a meeting.
No,
Okay.
under these circumstances, they're doing it right now in colleges. They're doing it by computer. They aren't going to classes. All this stuff
Well,
is changing.
that would have to be something that.
Could be considered.
Right. I'm saying if for some reason we do have to get back together again and we don't want to meet physically, is there an avenue of doing it?
I guess,
Which would be what, because the whole premise, different than a college would be, these have to be, meetings have to be available to the public for
Yeah,
them to attend.
yeah.
That's government.
It's all well and good, but
Yeah.
circumstances change.
Well, the law has to change though.
Well, we gotta flow with it. It would have to come from council saying, hey, we ain't gonna do this right now.
Well, we could add a caveat that anyone who wants to present additional information on what this board has been assigned to do, to present it directly to council in one of their public workshops or council meetings.
That caveat, you accept that,
Sure, just
okay?
so we don't have to meet together.
Right.
So-
Well, to me, this is the end of our meetings.
Right.
And I'll do the booklet, give it to Lynn, he'll present it to council at the April meeting,
It's not forever,
and we're done.
Yeah.
We're done with public meetings.
for a while, until things clear up. Okay, I'll call for a vote. Now, I have Patty, Brenda's proxy for the motions
You don't need it.
to vote in favor. If,
You don't need it.
I'm gonna turn it in as a piece of evidence from, let somebody argue about it. But we have a quorum anyway, so.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Is there anything that further could from the city manager,
No.
who's been so diligent in it? Okay,
No.
Patty,
We'll have our meeting next week and we'll see what they tell us.
do you have anything?
No, nothing further.
Nothing further? Check, goes to Patty up there. Let's see.
Thanks, Tom.
There you go, Patty.
I do, off the record, want to know what the committee wants me to do about this vacancy that we have. That doesn't seem like I should worry about it right now. But we can all look for somebody to replace.
Tom? We need to find out what his status is. 'Cause
Well, I can't find him and Patty can't find him.
I never get a response of any kind.
I don't either.
I wonder if he's still gone.
Possible, right?
It may be, he's quarantined. Let's put it that's
Okay.
it. We'll adjourn this meeting with the fact that I appreciate what Rudy and Lynn have done. And I know that Rudy is making so much money
Right,
doing this.
no, I think you did a great job.
And Rhodey, you might add, fill us in on how great the situation happened with your wife, because everybody knew that there were things going on.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get a consensus that we're adjourned, right? Right?
Adjourned.
I didn't hear him.